we start with Commissioner Schowalter. Summary documents, are available on MMB's website at mn.gov/MMB. We will post the forecast book on Thursday. Please make sure you remain muted until the question and answer section at the end of the presentation. To ask a question at that time, you can use the raised hand function found in the control panel at the top of your screen. I will announce your name and your outlet, and we'll get you unmuted to make sure you can ask your question. With that, we'll start with Commissioner Schowalter.
Thanks, Ellen. Good morning, everyone. I'm Jim Schowalter, Commissioner of Minnesota Management and Budget, and I'm joining you from my home office. Today, you'll also hear from Dr. Laura Kalambokidis, State Economist, and Britta Reitan, State Budget Director. We want to welcome you to MMB's first virtual forecast presentation. Little unusual. Delivering November 2020 budget and economic forecast, which gives you up-to-date information on our state's budget, as well as new U.S. economic data from our consultants, IHS Markit. Last February, Dr. Kalambokidis mentioned that one of the risks of the 2020 February forecast was the, quote, prolonged and widespread virus outbreak, end quote. Before COVID-19, Minnesota's economy was in good shape, and we had a projected surplus of more than $1.5 billion for this biennium with low unemployment. By May, MMB took unprecedented action and released an interim budget projection to give policymakers updated budget information as they planned for the end of the legislative session. Due to volatile economic conditions, we projected a $2.4 billion deficit for the current biennium, which was nearly $4 billion change from the February forecast. Today, I have some good news. Minnesota's forecast has significantly improved even as COVID-19 impacts remain. Due to improved economic conditions, the projected deficit anticipated last May has been eliminated, and we now project a $641 million surplus for the current fiscal period. I want to be clear that this does not use any of the budget reserve. For the next two-year budget, we still project a shortfall of $1.3 billion, which, while a challenge, is still an improvement from the $5 billion projected as a shortfall in May. Behind this rosier picture, we still have revenue issues compared to where we started last February, and today's forecast only adds back about half the revenue taken in May. The other material difference in today's forecast is a reduction in spending, and Budget Director Reitan will touch on this in her presentation. We know that the pandemic has affected all Minnesotans, bringing with it a run of discouraging events and news, especially for lower wage workers, where the economic impact has been concentrated. We still have challenges ahead, but this budget and revenue forecast brings a bit of good news to the state. I'm going to walk through a couple of slides here, giving you the top line numbers as to the state finances, and then we're going to walk through the economy and revenue numbers, as well as expenditure changes that really lead to these conclusions. This first slide shows you the information for the current biennium, which ends in June 2021. As mentioned earlier, you'll see that our estimated bottom line significantly improves with a swing of nearly $3 billion since May. This is a result of $1.9 billion in additional projected revenue and $1.1 billion less in projected spending. This change is unusually large for a forecast this close to the end of the biennium. It's also important. With only 7 months left in the fiscal year, the state has fewer and fewer options to balance the budget. Unlike the federal government, there's not borrowing to deficit finance. So based on these estimates, this biennium's budget can be balanced even without using any rainy day funds. The next slide shows that this improvement isn't temporary. We see similar improvement in the next budget period. The first column again shows the estimate for the current period with a projected $641 million surplus. The second column shows planning estimates for fiscal years 22 and 23. These estimates provide the foundation for Governor Walz and the legislature from which to build their budget proposals. In our estimates, we anticipate spending to exceed revenues by $1.3 billion. This means that while the budget is improved, we still see a $1.3 billion shortfall in the forecast for the next biennium. Finally, There's a $491 million on this chart. Anticipating your questions, this is not a forecast change. That change in reserves is a transfer from the budget reserve to the general fund. That's a result of the 2019 end of session budget negotiations. So that's the top line picture. But now let's get into the rest of the story. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Kalambokidis, who will describe changes in our economic outlook.
Thank you, Commissioner Schowalter. I'm Laura Kalambokidis, Minnesota State Economist. So I'm going to start with a high-level overview of the revenue forecast change, which I don't usually do, and then jump into the economic outlook. So the extraordinary volatility and uncertainty in the economy since the beginning of the global COVID-19 pandemic has led to changes in our economic and revenue forecasts. In this chart, the height of the bars shows each of the three revenue forecasts for the current biennium, fiscal years 20 and 21, that we've made this year. In May, we released, as you know, our interim budget projection as the pandemic was taking hold, as economic activity was being restricted to slow the disease spread, and the economy was contracting after a record-long 10-year expansion. At that point, U.S. real GDP was expected to decline 5.4% this year. Record numbers of Minnesotans were filing unemployment claims, and the state unemployment rate was spiking at 2 percentage points above the peak in the previous recession. As shown in the second bar in this chart, in that May projection, we reduced the revenue forecast for the current biennium by $3.7 billion. Economic conditions have improved since May as some restrictions on activity have been lifted, and federal payments have supported businesses, consumers, and governments. Consequently, we're now adding back $1.9 billion to the forecast, or about half of what we took out in May. This is illustrated with the third bar in the chart. I'll now turn to describing the economic outlook that underlies our revenue forecast. In this chart, the height of the bars shows annual U.S. real GDP growth. The dark bars show the history and the November forecast by IHS, Minnesota's consulting firm. The gray bars show IHS's April forecast. That's the one that informed our May interim budget projection. In the history, you can see the economic contraction or the decline in GDP that occurred during the last recession, when GDP fell 0.1% in 2008 and 2.5% in 2009. And then that was followed by 10 years of growth. Now, if you focus on the right-hand side of the chart, you can see the forecast change. IHS now expects real GDP to decline 3.6% this year, compared to the 5.4% decline they expected in May. This improvement is due to higher consumer spending and business investment so far this year than had been forecast in the spring. Annual growth is expected to return in 2021 at a rate of 3.1% and continue through the remainder of our forecast period. Both of the forecasts show a decline followed by a large acceleration. The magnitude of the acceleration in 21 is smaller in the November forecast because the smaller decline in 20 means you don't need as high a percentage increase to get back to where you were. Real GDP is forecast to grow an average of 2.7% annually through 25. IHS expects real GDP to regain its pre-pandemic peak in early 22 and the economy to return to full employment in 24. The economic recovery is expected to be uneven, with GDP associated with production of goods having already reached its pre-pandemic level, and the service sector is not expected to fully recover until a significant portion of the population is vaccinated against COVID-19. The U.S. outlook remains volatile and uncertain and depends critically on the path of the pandemic. In this forecast, IHS assumes that the rate of infections, hospitalizations, and deaths remain elevated until a COVID-19 vaccine is widely available, which they assume will be in the middle of next year. At that time, they expect the economy to transition from recovery to expansion, particularly in the sectors that are hardest hit by social distancing and safety concerns, such as consumer spending on entertainment and travel. In this outlook, IHS also assumes no further federal fiscal stimulus beyond measures already enacted. So any additional federal support, whether it's by the end of this year or in the first quarter of next year, or a more rapid vaccination timeline, would both cause the economy to grow faster than shown in the November outlook. Now let's move to Minnesota. In this chart, the line shows the last 11 years of Minnesota total employment. During the economic expansion, Minnesota experienced steady employment growth, adding 337,000 jobs. In February, employment had reached about 3 million. Then the pandemic hit, restrictions were put in place, and Minnesota lost 388,000 jobs in March and April. As some restrictions were lifted, the state regained just over half that number of jobs through October, leaving employment 184,000 below the February level. Note that at the end of the employment curve, at the end of that line, the curve is beginning to bend or become flatter. That means that the pace of job growth in the state is slowing. We've already reaped the easiest job gains. Further gains will be harder to achieve. During the most recent months of job growth, Minnesota's unemployment rate has fallen from the May peak of 9.9% to 4.6%, well below the U.S. rate and ninth lowest among states. However, the last 2 months of employment decline have occurred because of the last 2 months of unemployment decline have occurred because of Minnesotans leaving the labor force rather than from unemployed workers finding jobs. Since February, 107,000 Minnesotans have left the labor force. In the next chart, we show the annual growth rate in total Minnesota wage and salary income. So that's the sum of all the payrolls of all the employers in the state, and the height of the bars show the growth rate in that variable. The dark bars show the history, and the striped bars show our new forecast. Again, you can see the decline in total wage income that occurred in the previous recession, 4.8%. We are now forecasting a decline of 1.4% this year, and moderate growth averaging 4.8% annually thereafter. That 1.4% decline is a significant improvement from the wage contraction or the wage decline that we expected in our May projection. So how can we have a relatively small decline in wage income this year when our unemployment rate peaked at such a high level? The reason is that unemployment in this economic downturn has disproportionately impacted low-wage workers. We know that a large share of unemployment insurance benefit claimants in Minnesota were from lower wage occupations. And there's evidence from U.S. data that the duration of unemployment is longer for low wage workers than for higher wage workers. This has led us to forecast a smaller decline in Minnesota total wage income than we projected in May. And that improvement has increased our income and sales tax forecasts. Another unexpected phenomenon shown in the next chart in this downturn has been a shift in consumer spending patterns. First, consumer spending in general this year has been higher than forecast. That's one of the reasons underlying IHS's improved U.S. forecast. Second, consumers have shifted away from spending on some kinds of services, on the things that are affected by social distance. Instead, they're purchasing taxable goods. This chart shows the level of U.S. consumer spending on durable goods. This includes furniture and electronics, for example. The dark dashed line shows the February forecast, and the light dashed line shows the April forecast, and the solid dark line shows the November forecast. You can see from that dark line that consumer spending on these goods, which are generally taxable in Minnesota, has not only outperformed expectations from April and didn't fall in the spring, but instead has increased and exceeded the February forecast. This shift has supported higher than expected sales tax revenue this year and led us to increase our sales tax forecast. Turning to the new revenue forecast, the first two columns of this table show the current forecast and the forecast change for the current biennium, and the next two columns show the same for the next biennium. The revenue forecast for fiscal year 21, the current fiscal year, reflects the 4-week pause on in-person dining, sports, and fitness establishments that Governor Walz enacted beginning November 20th and continuing through December. So we did make adjustments to the revenue forecast for that. Total general fund revenues for the current biennium, as you've heard a couple of times now, are now forecast to be $1.9 billion more than the May projection. The estimates for all major tax types have been increased. It's important to note that at the beginning of this forecast period, so far in fiscal year 21, actual revenue collections are $805 million higher than we projected in May, reflecting the improved economic forecast that I've been talking about. Individual income tax receipts are now forecast to be $500 million more than the May projection. That increase is primarily due to the projected improvement in the wage income forecast I showed earlier. Sales tax revenue is now forecast to be $808 million more than the prior projection, and that forecast is consistent with the shift in consumer spending I mentioned, and is also due to higher collections, sales tax collections so far in this fiscal year. And the corporate tax story is similar. Corporate tax is projected to generate $390 million more than the prior forecast, based on a higher forecast for corporate profits and higher collections so far this fiscal year. And the story for the next biennium is similar. Because we have a higher base of projection, because the current biennium forecast is higher, that increased, as well as we have faster forecast growth in income, consumer spending, and profits. Let me finish by reiterating some of the many risks to this forecast. I've mentioned that the economic forecast depends critically on the path of the pandemic, timing of a vaccine, and the pace of lifting restrictions on economic activity. All of those uncertainties amplify economic risks, including when and whether businesses and consumers will feel safe resuming normal activities, and whether businesses that have been affected by social distancing restrictions will make it through the next year. In addition, new federal fiscal support would improve the economic outlook relative to what we are assuming here. And finally, with 30 months remaining until the end of the next biennium, even small changes in assumed growth rates in important revenue sources can have big changes in the outlook for this biennium and the next. I'll now turn it over to State Budget Director Britta Reitan.
Good morning. My name is Britta Reitan, State Budget Director at MMB. With this next slide, we're turning to the expenditure side of the forecast. And this slide shows the change in spending projections from previous projections for the current biennium 20 and 21 and the next biennium 22 and 23. Overall projected spending in the current biennium is down by $1.058 billion relative to our prior estimates. The change is smaller in 22-23 with a $409 million reduction in spending estimates relative to our previous projections. As you can see on the chart, E12 education spending estimates are down $118 million in the current biennium when compared to our May projection. The biggest driver of this change is reduced student counts relative to our prior estimates. We were already seeing lower student counts relative to our previous projections in FY20. But there is an even greater decline from previous estimates in FY21, the current school year, as families have made different choices given the pandemic, possibly opting to delay kindergarten enrollment, opt for private school enrollment, or to homeschool their students. In total, the student count in this forecast decreased by 12,600 students relative to our prior projection for the current school year. It's important to note that this 12,600 student decline in projections is on a base of 875,000 students. So in total, it's not a very large percentage, but it does equate to significant dollar savings in the forecast. MDE projects year-over-year increases in pupil counts going forward. However, our projections still remain below previous projections in 22 and 23, and there's also savings in that biennium as well. This slide also shows decreases relative to the prior forecast in health and human services spending. The HHS expenditure forecast is down $919 million in 20 and 21 and $250 million in 22-23 relative to our previous estimates. There are three significant components of change in the health and human services forecast. The first significant component is that we are assuming that the state and federal COVID emergency declarations will continue through the first 2 quarters of calendar year 21, or until June 30, 2021. Assuming an extension of the federal public health emergency means the state will continue to receive increased federal support for the medical assistance program. The federal match is increased by 6.2 percentage points during the emergency period. And this increase lowers the state share of medical assistance by $310 million in the first 2 quarters of calendar year 21. Our previous projection, it's important to note, has already recognized this increased match for the duration of calendar year 2020. One component of receiving the additional federal medical assistance match is that the state must maintain continuous coverage requirements for individuals on medical assistance. Another significant component of the forecast change is a revision to the estimate for that requirement. We've revised that down by $175 million compared to our previous estimates for calendar year 2020. in May when we first estimated the cost of the continuous coverage requirement. At that time, there was limited data or experience to inform how enrollment in medical assistance would be affected by the federal requirement. At that time, we assumed all individuals on medical assistance at the start of the pandemic would remain on the program for the duration of the federal public health emergency. We now have 6 months of data and experience during the pandemic, and we understand that enrollment for MA basic care was 5.5% lower than previously anticipated. So there are people exiting the medical assistance program for allowable reasons, and we updated our estimates accordingly. And the third significant component of change is lower utilization of services during the COVID pandemic. And these updates were not incorporated in our May budget projection. This change is estimated to be a reduction of spending of $293 million compared to our previous estimates. And $217 million of that reduction is in medical assistance, particularly in our fee-for-service program, which is due to individuals deferring or forgoing medical services during the pandemic. This forecast does assume a slow return to pre-COVID utilization levels towards the end of the next biennium. Moving on to the next slide, we return to a view of the total revenues and expenditures in the general fund. And this slide shows the upcoming 2023 biennium, as well as provides a look at the planning estimates for 24 and 25. This slide is showing the structural balance in the next two biennia, which means we are just comparing revenues to expenditures in each biennium without including carry forward amounts or changes in reserve levels. So you can see that we do not have structural balance in either biennia, meaning that our forecast spending in each biennium exceeds the forecast revenues. The structural gap in 22-23 totals $1.6 billion. This number is higher than the shortfall we cited earlier, and that's because the $1.6 billion number does not account for the use of the $491 million in the budget reserve that is assumed in law in 22 and 23. There is also an ongoing structural shortfall in 24 and 25 of $552 million. The size of that structural gap, though, does narrow from 22-23 into 24 and 25. This is because the revenue estimates are growing faster than the expenditure estimates, and you can see that displayed in the biennial growth section of the chart on the right-hand side. And finally, we do include an estimation of inflation on this slide for the next two biennia. This is to give a sense of the cost pressures that exist into the next two biennium and into the planning years. Inflation is generally not included in the expenditure estimates in the forecast, except in a limited number of programs where there's an inflation component in the formula or where the formula is based on actual costs. So some examples would include property tax refunds, our special education program, and a portion of our healthcare, as well as debt service. The $1.3 billion in 22-23 and the $2.9 billion in 24-25 shown on the slide is an estimate of inflation applied only to those expenditures where inflation is not already included in a forecast program. And with that, I will pass it back to Commissioner Schowalter.
Thank you, Britta. Before we leave this slide, I just want to emphasize again the impact of future estimates. So while we've been talking about a budget challenge in the upcoming biennium and the future biennium, those figures do not include roughly $4.2 billion in the impact of inflation. You've heard me talk about it before, and I think it's just an important point because even with this improved outlook, we still have difficult decisions ahead to ensure long-term fiscal stability. So let's go to the conclusion. We're weathering a difficult and volatile time. Just today, news was released that an additional 22 Minnesotans died from COVID-19, bringing the total to 3,615. There were 3,570 positive cases, bringing that total to 322,000. Yet amidst that incredibly difficult news is some good news, which is Minnesota's managed our state budget well. We've made smart decisions preparing for an economic downturn and ensuring that our tax policy is able to withstand the unexpected. Our rainy day fund is still at the highest level in our state's history. And if our forecast holds, we'll still be able to use it as a buffer for projected shortfall in the next biennium or to provide more services to Minnesotans affected by both health and economic crises caused by COVID-19. Good management of the state has provided time to better understand the pandemic, time to sort through the economic impacts, and an opportunity to take more thoughtful action. We still much to learn in the coming months, but smart, long-term thinking has put us in a better position despite pandemic challenges. So before we end this presentation, I just want to thank the dedicated team at MMB who have worked on this forecast, even while balancing countless other tasks required from reporting, from pandemic response, and all the other challenges of day-to-day life. We all owe you our thanks. With that, Ellen, that ends our presentation, and we are all available for questions.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want just a reminder on how we'll handle questions here. Please use the raise hand function at the top of your screen and remain muted until we call your name. With your hand raised, I should be able to get you unmuted. I will announce your name and then we'll let you ask that question. I will try to make sure people have get a question each before there's any sort of second ones, but and I will go in order as I see them. I will do my best. My first question we have is Mary Lahammer from TPT.
Hi, my question is about, Commissioner, the volatility in this forecast. Obviously, this pandemic is unprecedented. Does there have to be monthly forecasts? How should the legislature be advised? Besides a February forecast, should we have March, April, May as you go forward?
Oh, goodness, no. I think the lesson of this is that continued looking at new information is important, but that the 2 forecasts a year is a really useful construct where we have new information. It's difficult to make mid-year estimates because of all of the information and all of the thinking that goes into a forecast. This was a great opportunity to sort of pull together all that information and not and to set the course. We manage volatility with reserves, with constant surveillance of information of what's going on in the economy and in spending, and then we make actions. And then we'll bring it all back together again in the next forecast. So I don't think this is a call for constant forecasts. I think this is a indication that our estimates and our process has actually been working quite well.
Your next question from Brian Bax at NPR.
Hey, I have a couple of questions for Budget Director Reitan, just to clear a couple things up. Can you quantify the number of students lost to the public school system that represents the $119 million? And is there an expectation that once the threat of the virus is cleared, that some or many of those students will flow back to the public school system? And then the other question relates to the Medicare comments you made, or the Medicaid comments. Does the state and the federal emergency have to remain intact in order for that money to keep flowing?
I will start with the education question. And so we were seeing already in our underlying forecast, before we kind of layered on the impact of the COVID pandemic for this current year, we were seeing a decline in pupils relative to our previous forecast. To be clear, we still had an upward trajectory in pupils, but a decline relative to the previous forecast. So about 4,000 pupil unit change was already baked into our November estimate before we layered on the impact of the COVID pandemic and families making different choices. So about 8,334 additional pupils were added into that reduction, bringing us to a total reduction in the current year from previous forecasts of 12,676 pupils. That really pretty closely tracks with the savings in the education area. It's both in general education, and there's a total student component of the special ed formula as well. So it shows up in both general education and special education. We are anticipating pupils to return, but not all in the next year. There is a stepped up assumption about return out into the coming years. To your question about medical assistance, we are assuming both the state and federal emergency declaration continue until June. There are provisions that we are required to keep in effect in terms of continuous coverage, as I mentioned, that rely on the state emergency orders in order to implement. So in order to generate the increased federal match, we need to continue the statewide emergency to continue that continuous coverage requirement to generate the federal match.
But it's mandatory that executive power remain in place, or could it be done legislatively?
Oh, it could be done in other ways, yes. But our assumption is that both in this forecast, that both are continuing in order to generate that match.
Thank you. Our next question is from Dave Orrick with the Pioneer Press.
Okay, I think I'm unmuted now. Could you explain if there is any impact in federal CARES dollars and other federal stimulus to the state accounts that play into all this?
I'll start, but Britta, I'll turn it to you for more. The simple answer is federal funds aren't part of the general fund. So these are general tax revenues like the sales tax, the income tax. And while it is certainly part of the economic story about how Minnesotans were able to get help from quick reaction by state leaders as well as federal leaders this spring, that money does not show up in the numbers that we've been talking about. And Britta, you want to just talk about some of the documents that will be available in a couple of days?
Certainly. We do have the CARES money will show up in our accounting of our federal fund, as well as we have a separate fund established for the Coronavirus Relief Fund. So as we release our consolidated fund statement that is beyond just the general fund, there will be documents that show that federal revenue coming into the state and that spending, but that's not in the general fund.
Okay, thank you. And one other question, and this is sort of a touchy one, but I want to ask it anyways. Is there any impact economically that you guys see in the number of deaths that we've had from the pandemic? Dead people have an economic impact, and I don't know if that's anything baked in, if the numbers are high enough or not.
That's a different question. Laura, do you have any sense of that?
No, we make a projection of total employment and total wage growth, and we take into consideration population forecasts when we do that. And so I think it's unlikely at this point that deaths from COVID have been incorporated into those population forecasts.
Thank you all. We have time for a couple more questions here before noon. Our next question, and again, I'm going in order that I saw your hand raised. So our next question is Theo Keith with Fox 9.
Hey, everybody. Am I unmuted now?
We can hear you.
Okay, great. One of you mentioned, I think it might have been Dr. Kalambokidis, that the impact of the most recent 4-week shutdown on gyms, bars, restaurants, movie theaters, et cetera, had been factored into this latest forecast. By how much? What's the impact of that? And has it been measured if that will be extended?
Yeah, when we constructed the revenue forecast, we knew that there was going to be this 4-week pause, this temporary pause. And so we've incorporated that into our revenue forecast, but not in a way that I can isolate the impact and give you a dollar value. And we have not estimated the impact of an extension of this. We construct a current law forecast, and the current law incorporated this one pause.
And then just quickly, Commissioner Schowalter, you might want to take this one, but there will be skeptics out there, of course, because of the pretty dramatic swings this year already. Understanding, of course, that you all have 6 months of information to go off of now, but can you just address that skepticism that may be out there, who's to believe these latest numbers, essentially?
Of course. This year has brought things that nobody anticipated. That when we started 2020, nobody would be thinking that the economic, the health, the social issues that we're all grappling with would all happen in 1 year. I would never have predicted I would be doing a forecast in my basement. So all of these things are unanticipated. What we can do is learn. We can keep on observing, we can keep on finding more information and make smart judgments from them. And that's exactly what's happening. We took information in May, incomplete as it was, but we took what information we had and made estimates and looked forward and tried to judge from that. Now that we're into early December, we're doing the same thing. We've got more information. We can make better estimates. We can make better judgments. We're telling you we don't know everything. We don't know the future, but we can use the information that we've gleaned from the last 6 months to make a lot better estimates and a lot better understanding of how people will react to the pandemic.
Thank you, Commissioner. I want to get through a couple last questions here before noon. Our next question is from Patricia Lopez with the Star Tribune. You are unmuted.
Thanks for taking my question. Commissioner, I wanted to ask, in the whole pantheon of different varieties of assistance that can be given, what types of state and federal aid would best foster economic growth, in your opinion, and how most effectively to target it?
Good question. As you know, Pat, in a forecast, we try not to answer too many budget questions. But I think one of the things that really stands out from the past was quick action. That when the state legislature took quick action, it allowed businesses to have some understanding of certainty of what was available. When federal action was taken, the business loans and the UI benefits were extended, and people were able to manage less uncertainty. I think that's kind of the key here. When we're dealing with really unprecedented situations, it's part of government's responsibility to try to help everyone, keep it into context, and help us all do our best.
And have you been able to get any idea about the optimal amount here?
No, I haven't. And I think, as this forecast suggests, it all depends on how you're impacted. Clearly, the impacts of this recession and the impacts of COVID-19 are really concentrated. And that some sectors, and particularly some employees and some families, are particularly hard hit. And I think that's an important and sobering fact of even within this good financial news.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Our next question is from Esme Murphy with WCCO. Esme, you are muted.
Esme, I think you're still muted.
All right, let's move on to the next one. We can come back to that. One additional question from Tom Hauser. And Tom, you are also muted.
I'm still not hearing him.
Nope. I changed one setting that should be helpful here. Tom Hauser, are you with us? Oh, we'll go back to him too. We'll do just a couple more here. I'm sorry for the delay, everyone. I do know we have.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm not sure what's going on with the mutes, but I thought I was unmuted. I just wanted to follow up on Theo's question about this 4-week pause. I was unclear on whether you have factored in the possibility of that pause in bar, restaurant, and health club closings, et cetera, and maybe even an extension of that for another month or however long.
We have accounted for the pause that is currently in place, the 4-week pause that started on November 20th, and we have not extended any. We haven't assumed any extension of that.
If there was such a pause, and let's say it was even expanded to include other businesses, how big of an impact could that have?
You know, it actually will depend on why it gets extended. So if the path of the pandemic changes in a way that requires more economic restrictions than what we already have in the forecast, then that will affect the forecast. So it depends on why it happens.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your patience, Tom, too. Let's go back to Esme Murphy, who is now unmuted. I see the icon. It should be good to go.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Okay. All right. This question is meant with all due respect. I'm just thinking of the person who is sitting out there, perhaps hearing this, who has been struggling with their own budget, not knowing where it's going, where it's been, and probably wondering, how could you folks get this so wrong? And also, how, at a time when trust is so important in government, can they really trust what you're doing with projections of billions of dollars that is ultimately their money?
Fair question. And I think the important thing here is we're all dealing with really unprecedented situations. I don't think there were many people in Minnesota, whether economists or politicians or people on the street, who would have expected sales taxes to actually go up when we're in the midst of a significant recession. I think also just looking at the impact that we saw from this recession this spring and comparing it personally to what we were seeing 10 years ago in the Great Recession, you would have expected much more significant impact on the state budget and on consumer spending and on incomes than we're seeing right now. So this is unprecedented. This is unusual. And I think the best thing we can do is continue to learn and understand that this pandemic is not your average economic recession. It is very unique and very challenging.
And why should people trust these additional forecasts that there's going to be a $1 billion shortfall in 2022, 2023?
I think I don't know, Dr. Kalambokidis, if you have additional. I think the key here, Esme, is quite simply that we are all understanding the impact of COVID-19 better every day, every month. That this is not something that the economy has experienced for a long, long time. I mean, none of our lifetimes. As a result, the best thing we can do is continue to monitor, to learn, and try to ask questions about what's happening and how we can react better.
And if you don't mind, I'd like to add a point or two here, and that is that, the slide that I showed with the forecast change in the revenues over the course of this year, those changes, the volatility in the revenue forecast is a direct result of volatility in the economic forecast and in the economy itself. If we hadn't done the May projection and we were just comparing today to February, we'd be taking money out of the forecast. And people would be saying, of course, there was a pandemic and there's been an economic downturn, therefore, money's coming out of the forecast. But it was important in the spring to provide the best information we had and construct a forecast so that policymakers could start making decisions. And we've learned a lot between May and now, and we will learn more between now and the February forecast. And so the fact that we will adjust it again in February will help people see how this work is done and to follow that path. And I would also add that we constructed the May forecast and this one and the February forecast and the next February forecast using the same techniques and the same models and the same kinds of information as our previous forecasts. And so the process, people can trust the process and trust that we are producing the best forecasts we can given the information that we have and given the very rapidly changing landscape we find ourselves in.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next question, Ricardo Lopez with the Minnesota Reformer. Thank you for following up when your hand wouldn't raise. So you are, we're ready for you now.
Great. I just wanted to get sort of a more of a description or quantification of how exactly the federal CARES Act money helped, factor into this current budget surplus. And, I know it doesn't account for any future federal stimulus, but I wanted to hear maybe some type of a breakdown or explanation as to how significant that federal CARES Act money was in helping shore up the state's budget.
I can start if you would like, Jim and Laura, and then Laura, maybe you can talk about the economic impacts of the CARES Act. The CARES Act dollars that actually came to the state of Minnesota, both through the Coronavirus Relief Fund, which was a significant pot of nearly $2 billion that came to the state of Minnesota, as well as the programmatic specific dollars that came to Minnesota for a whole host of federal programs where they increased spending in those federal programs. All of that money comes in through our federal funds, and so they're not reflected in our general fund. And in fact, the CARES Act was very clear that we couldn't use those federal dollars to fill behind lost state revenues. So we could not supplant spending in our general fund or reimburse our general fund with those dollars. So what you're seeing here for the general fund does not include any CARES Act dollars coming into the general fund and propping up state revenues. I think Dr. Kalambokidis would say the CARES Act was very helpful in terms of the economic supports that it gave. And so maybe Dr. Kalambokidis, you want to speak to that?
Sure. The federal fiscal stimulus checks, the additional pandemic unemployment support, the PPP forgivable loans, all of those things contributed, sort of kept the economy afloat through the summer and fall and contributed to the unexpectedly robust consumer spending that we saw, that we've seen, the U.S. forecast has seen and that Minnesota has seen. And the unemployment insurance benefits are taxable in Minnesota, and so that contributed to our income taxes. But generally what it meant was that households that needed money at the time because they lost jobs had some, and they were able to continue to spend and continue to pay rent. Not enough to cover cover everyone's household budget, but it was a big help.
So is it fair to characterize it then as a significant indirect impact on the state's budget picture? I mean, given, as you pointed out, it helped keep the economy afloat. And I think, I don't know how much in the spring the state budget office had forecasted consumer spending to be as strong as it was, particularly on things like durable goods. But so was it a significant indirect impact on the state's fiscal picture?
Are you saying a significant indirect impact?
Yes.
Yes, I would say so. That federal fiscal support supported household disposable income during the course of the summer and fall, helped businesses keep people employed, and in turn, that supported state tax revenues.
And would you expect that to have a significant impact if there's another round of federal stimulus?
Yes. The the macro forecaster that we use, IHS, as I said in my comments, does not assume an additional federal fiscal stimulus. But if one is enacted and is available in the first quarter of next year, they forecast that that will increase U.S. real GDP growth next year, 21, by on the order of 1.5 percentage points. And while I don't have a direct crosswalk between GDP and Minnesota revenues, Minnesota's economy is tied to the U.S. economy. So if the U.S. economy is doing better, Minnesota's economy will do better as well.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Ricardo. We have 2 questions left I want to make sure we get to. I have a question from Bill Werner with MNN over the phone. So bear with us as we get this unmuted. I'm hopeful we can get it to work. Bill, if you're ready, please unmute as you are able and ask your question. All right, we'll come back to Bill. Oh, there we go. Bill, I think we're ready for you. Bill Werner, we're ready for your question. Okay, we'll come back to Bill. Our second to last question is from Lori Sturdivant at the Star Tribune.
Buddy, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, hi. Question for Commissioner Schowalter. Commissioner, I know you were an architect of the state's law that allows the reserve to grow somewhat automatically with November forecasts. Did this surplus forecast today trigger another flow of dollars into the reserve fund? And then more generally, what policy advice would you give to lawmakers now for the prudent use of the rainy day fund that exists?
Thanks, Lori. You're right. The reserve is really important, and it's been an important part of the state's infrastructure for a while because it helps give people time to understand the situation. It gives us a chance to have reactions and opportunities to take action when other states can't, because they're already trying to figure out how to pay the bills. This forecast doesn't change the reserve picture. It doesn't automatically put more money in. We're already at the ceiling. But I think the key long-term thing is that we constantly look at using it judiciously in downtimes and making sure we continue to invest in it in better times, simply because you don't know when you need it. And this reserve certainly has given us a lot more flexibility as a state in the last 12 months. Because when we didn't know how COVID-19 was going to impact the state, the legislature and the governor both had time to assess what was happening rather than take abrupt action in May. And that's the kind of advantage that the reserve policy has given us. And that has real impact for Minnesotans.
So prudently, what should be the use of that fund, especially for the current biennium, by the legislature and the governor in the next few months?
I think, as usual, Lori, I would caution concern, especially since we have a balance in the current biennium, because we still have a lot of really unclear and uncertain issues that will be worked out, whether it's the path of the pandemic, the impact on economic activity, whether or not the federal government is going to help states as we try to continue fighting the pandemic or roll out a vaccine, business reaction, and sustainability. There are a lot of very big variables out there, and hopefully we'll have a reserve to help us manage those things as we come up to them.
Thank you, Commissioner, and thanks, Lori. I want to give one more chance to see if we can get Bill Werner to get his question through from the phone. Bill, if you are ready, please go ahead and ask.
Yeah, can you hear me all right? I think I'm unmuted.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, very good.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry about that. I want to focus in on the unemployment situation because I know Minnesota has done quite a bit better than the nation in terms of unemployment recovering from this. But one thing that sticks out in the description here, it says The last 2 months of unemployment decline have occurred because of Minnesotans leaving the labor force rather than from unemployed workers finding jobs. What's the mechanism that's going on here? Are people giving up? Are they just deciding, oh, I'm going to retire now? Or do you folks have any feel for what is causing that? And could that shift in the sense that people change their minds and then we see a big spike in the unemployment rate as measured, I don't know, 3-4 months down the road?
Yeah, that's a great question. We don't know why people have left the labor force. We don't, we don't ask them. You can speculate that one of the points you made was maybe people have retired. Maybe it's a temporary thing where people are needed at home for now through the pandemic. So we don't actually know why. We make that point so that people don't get a sense of complacency about the low unemployment rate, that there's another part of that story. There are other parts of that story than just that we have a 4.6% unemployment rate. It could be temporary, and that is an interesting point, that going forward, and we learned this through the previous economic expansion, that going forward, looking at the headline unemployment rate, you do want to drill down and figure out, why did the unemployment rate change? Did it change because people entered the workforce and didn't immediately find jobs? Did it go up because of that? Did it go down because people who were working decided they're no longer going to be in the labor force? So that could happen, and I would encourage everyone to continue to ask those questions as unemployment data probably bounces around in the next months.
Thanks very much.
Thank you all for letting us go a little bit over here. I do at this point want to hand it off to Teddy Chan with Governor Walz and Lieutenant Governor Flanagan's office.